Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond BMR. Got to fix my headgear here a little bit, sliding up on me. Welcome to Beyond BMR. Of course, I'm your host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Got a great show lined up in store for you once again, wherever you are around the world. Thank you for coming on in. 9 o'clock here in the East, 8 Central. You know the time locations, you know the time zones by now. Thank you. And that's why I don't put out the times of the shows anymore. More importantly, I used to give out the schedules every show for a year, 2 years. You guys seem to forget the times, but that's okay because there's something called the alert bell. I looked up the analytics. 9% of you, all you, I'm talking to you people listening, my viewers, the people in the chat room, have your alert bell on. You won't miss a show if you put on the alert bell and set it to all. We're on 7 days a week. You know the lineups. Joining me in Studio B is the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. You can find her on Instagram, iHeartRadio, just like all of us across the board. Please subscribe if you're new. Texas Front Porch found on YouTube. Please subscribe if you are new tonight. Thanks to one and all for coming in. I got to thank somebody, mostly you folks out there, because without you, the sales, the success of my 2 books that I have out there wouldn't be taken off like they are. So I got to thank each and every single one of you. Bigfoot Mission Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters. Book 1 has been out for about a year and 3 months. Book 2 was released in August. Thank you so much for that. Please type Bigfoot Mission Rob in your Amazon browser. Please leave a review. It's all analytics these days. Analytics drives sales. You folks help drive sales. And I do appreciate you guys. Thank you ever so much for that. I do appreciate that. Thank you right from the get-go, Keith from Michigan. $5. Thanks, Keith. So, yeah, thank you for that. So, we got a great show. I'm going to bring up Krista here. And I don't want to get this. I'm so excited about this show. So, I got to, right away, I'm going to bring up the lovely Krista.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, what's happening?
Oh, it's Tuesday, and it's technically my Thursday because I'm off work after tomorrow. Yay, for 4 days.
The 4-day weekend, you got to love it.
I love it.
Well, you got to work with me Saturday night, but that's not work.
It's not work. Well, and I got, Blondes we're not going to do a show on Thursday, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We are going to do one on Friday, and then I've got Paul's show and then your show, so I'll still be that kind of working.
Yeah, that type of working, but that's fun work, and and it's like I'm not going to be on Thursday afternoon because I will be at my brother's way early. I've never, I don't miss shows. I've said this ad nauseum.
Right.
The only time I miss shows is if power outage or my internet goes wonkers, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. So I don't take no time off from the shows because my schedule is my schedule, and I stick to it. And we have such a great group, though. If one of us can't make a show, we have each other to fill in. I filled in for you.
Do.
So we're always on. We're always on, everybody.
Yeah. But, there's just sometimes, though, everybody, even, like all of our friends in chat, everybody needs to spend time with their families and do their thing,
They do. And Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful.
Thank you, T-Bone.
And thank you, T-Bone. 5 more new pirate members. You can become a pirate member today. Join today. Well, you know what you get? You got me, a picture of me in the chat room sporting a bandana. The super chats are also open as Keith obliged us. Thank you, Keith. And the joint, of course, donations. They're they're appreciated, you guys. Thank you so much. Not expected.
Especially now that we got a conference we're putting on.
We have a conference, and we got to get into that before we bring up the lovely Amy from Good Morning UFO. She'll be joining us shortly. So, yeah, what do we got going on here? We've got the Crossing. We're putting on the Crossing Realms Conference in Richmond, Missouri, September 19th and 20th. I'll let you take it from there.
So tickets will go on sale on what day? December 1st. And I think, is that Sunday? Is December 1st Sunday?
Boy, I don't have a calendar in my brain, imposed in my brain.
Huh. Oh, anyway. So we have Greg Ogles, Haunted Souls, Haunted Garage, Ron Murphy, Ann Celine, Dr. Dean Bertram, William Lunsford, Heather Mosier, Josh Hurd. Christopher Jordan is actually going to do our tech, and he's our featured podcaster. Special guests so far, we have Ken Gerhardt and Dana Stricker. The whole Texas Front Porch crew will be there. So, and thank you, Tex. Everybody will be there. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time with everybody.
We're going to have a lot of fun. Thanks, Tex, for that. Great way to start the shows with you guys. Awesome generosity.
Thank you all.
It is appreciated. Now I can finally go buy a turkey.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So Sunday, tickets go on sale if anybody's interested.
Yeah. And our emails are going to be posted. You can contact me and Krista, I know for sure. And, whoever else. And, of course, you can leave comments on these. Yeah. So, with that being said, well, thank you, Diane Boss. Thank you so much, Diane. What a nice, this is very nice to start the show. So, thank you so much, Diane and everybody.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Thank you for coming on in. You're all valued members of our family we have here. So, it's been 7 minutes, 22 seconds. We've got a fantastic guest. And, let's see. What do I know about Amy? Well, Amy Baker, she's the captivating host of Good Morning UFO, must-watch YouTube show that goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 a.m. in the East. Amy's dedicated to exploring the world of UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrial life, and the interstellar mysteries. Amy blends thoughtful discussion with her trademark enthusiasm, bringing together skeptics and believers alike in the quest for the truth. Thank you, Scott. Amy also has talked to some of the most notable figures in ufology and the paranormal. She's had conversations with prominent advocates such as Steve Bassett, Nick Pope, and Ron James, as well as firsthand witnesses like Alex Dietrich, the Navy pilot from the Tic Tac UAP encounter, and Gary Voorhis, the radar operator. I just lost my place. The radio operator who tracked the infamous objects. Amy has also talked to experiencers like Adrian Reister, a nuclear technician who saw shadow beings. Krista, shadow beings. And Melinda Leslie, an abductee and Sedona UFO tour guide. She brought in legendary figures such as the likes of Travis Walton, whose real-life abduction inspired the film Fire in the Sky, and engaged with cultural icons such as David Childress of Ancient Aliens. There's much more in Amy's bio. It's all pinned here in this show. Also, all her links are pinned in this show. So I highly recommend.
I was going to say, I've also been sharing her link under you.
Under me? Well, very good.
Yeah, it comes under you because I'm not doing it from my phone. But.
Gotcha. So all of Amy's links are in this show notes. Click on them after the show or during the show, whatever.
Yep.
Okay, now
because I did.
It is. You know what? I got to bring up Amy. I need a drink now after all that.
Thank you, Cindy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Thanks so much for inviting me on. Thank you so for the amazing introduction.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, that introduction was not all me. Somebody I got this from somebody. I don't know,
it was mine.
I know. I like that. That was very creative. But it's to the point, right? You are who you are.
Yeah. And I'm just really thankful to jump in here and start talking about some Bigfoots, start talking about some cryptids. There's lots of interesting connections between Bigfoots and extraterrestrials, just in terms of just the bare bones, sometimes research that you have in the Bigfoot community, right? Because the UFO community is really into research, and there's some research with Bigfoots for sure. Like, people are out there studying things, not just to mention that, but the cryptid world and what's going on with that, skinwalkers. I mean, there's just such a spectrum, especially since you have the U.S. government calling them interdimensionals. At what point, at this point, all sorts of manifestations can come from these interdimensionals, one would think. So who's to say that Bigfoot isn't alien anyway?
Right.
You know what? I tell you what. Ron Moorhead believes they're alien. He wouldn't have told me that 30 years ago. most people in the Bigfoot community know who he is. He's been on my show, and
Mhm.
they're definitely multi-dimensional, which I firmly believe.
Mhm.
And so let me ask you then really quickly. Now you threw me starting off with your little cryptid spiel, which I love, cryptid talk. Do you think there's a possibility then that maybe Bigfoot just came from outer space or from another planet system, solar system? We never
Well,
really
I want to
talked about that.
Well, in my experience of interviewing a lot of people in the extraterrestrial community and just becoming friends with people in general, along my way, I've become friends with Sue Walker, who's a psychic who's in telepathic communication with an extraterrestrial group called the Ponte in the Sandia Mountains. Hold up, she's also in communication with Sasquatch and Big Feet, who are also residing in the Sandias. That being said, there's a lot of different connections with the Bigfoots associated with the UFO community. It goes on and on. Personally, for me, I don't think it's so far out of the realm to think that Neanderthals, that was only 30,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago that they found the last, remains or proof that Neanderthals were around. Like, it's not out of the range of possibility at all that there could be intelligent big feet who are living in breakaway civilizations, which is what Sue Walker believes. She believes these Bigfoot are living in breakaway civilizations where they don't want anything to do with humans because our society is jacked.
Absolutely.
So I know she's talking to the Bigfoot out there. So
Wow.
They also excuse me, everybody. Well, they also talk about, and I think there's a correlation. We all talk about all this energy. When you talk about UFOs, ufology, it's always some energy. Maybe I don't know if it's kinetic energy or what have you, but for a Bigfoot or on these cryptids, they're massive, 1,200 pounds, and to just materialize in an instance, you know, I believe that the quantum physics, quantum
Mhm.
mechanics, they can take this energy, convert it to energy, and they're gone. Much like probably Amy, a UFO craft. I've never really heard this on any UFO talk shows or from my reading. I'm wondering if they can do that too. They have so much energy in these UFOs, these crafts, if they can simply take that mass, convert it to energy. That's why they can move on a dime and go 17 G's.
Well, and that's not what's far off from what Sue Walker is saying, is that they're kind of like these elevated beings. They can have telepathy, and she's telepathically communicating with these Sasquatch in the Sandias. And they'd rather, in terms of them having obviously interdimensional capabilities, if she's having these telepathic communications with them. And so from my conversations with her, they're just kind of like on a higher order. Like, they don't want the one she's in communication with. They have no desire to be integrated with us,
Right.
because they don't leave any of their tribe, any of their big feet behind. They don't. It's not like humans who just drive by people dying in the street. So, yeah, I can understand where the big feet are coming from.
Yeah.
We'd rather have, an enclosed
Yeah.
society where we help each other. I mean, yeah, like, why would you let anyone into that? And so,
Sure.
I got to ask this. We talked backstage a little bit, and I told you, here's one thing. If we're talking about ufology and such, right? We all saw, those that are interested. We saw that hearing, and you know what I got? And I saw the one last year, and I consider myself just a novice when it comes down to the subject. It seems like you get a lot of. They hint that something's out there, but every time the second question is posed, I can't answer that because due to national security, the protection of the planet, you can't answer that. Do you think I mean, there's a reason why they're telling us this, correct? I
I
got
think
some.
I
Go,
mean, I want to keep it as Bigfooty as possible, but I can break it down in like a minute on what I think.
yeah,
I think
please.
I could do it in 60 seconds. Okay. What I believe to be happening is the voice of the people are finally reaching Congress. I think people like me and you and Krista and the people in the chat, especially like the people in the chat, that is the movement, that is the voice that is saying we want to know about UFOs. I think these people, these politicians is a reflection of the fact that our voice is heard. Like, we are there. This is what we want. We have elected officials who are going through all of the legislative process to get the information. These are people who have made sure that their reputations have been golden their whole life so that they could get elected by citizens, because they are citizens. They are citizens elected by citizens concerned, like all of us in the chat, like what's going on? And we are told that we're not allowed to know. So for me, the whole reason behind I can only give you this certain amount of information is I do believe people like Lou Elizondo. I do believe, let me back up. I do believe that people who are intricately involved with the UAP, exposing the UAP secret, bringing it to the forefront, I think that those people specifically, I think they really are trying to make sure that they've got everything, that they've got their P's and Q's covered, that the government's not going to come after them. They have literally signed some documentation, and it's not with the elected officials. They are signing NDAs with unelected officials. This whole UFO topic, you can take the UFOs out of it. There's some government stuff going on that is an abuse of power. And luckily, the study of ufology is kind of ripping that open, that we can see that this country is not, at least from some perspective, there in the ufology section, it appears that unelected officials get to make the claim as to who gets to know what, not elected officials. So that's what I think is going on. I think the voice of the people is finally being heard out. I think it's loud. I think it's proud. I think a lot of these politicians at the forefront of it are the voice of the people asking for information. And I think the reason that people are saying oh, I can't answer that, I can't answer that, I can't answer that when I'm testifying is because God knows what they put on the line to say. Who knows what they signed? They even say that in the UAP. They're like, who did you sign this NDA with? I can't tell you. Right. What is going on? We are testifying in Congress. Who's telling you to sign an NDA? And that's when we know there is a group of people we have triangulated. We have found them. They are doing things. And that's who the game's against. Everybody who's saying I can't tell you anything anymore is because they've got something over. They're going to take something away from these people if they talk.
Wow. And that's scary.
I must say, Amy, that is very scary. And I must say, for everybody listening, that hearing was about 3 hours, 4 hours. And I tell you what, for the novice, Amy surmised that entire hearing in a very nice 2 minutes. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. That's why I do it. I do it for you guys because they're long and sometimes they can be boring, right? And you're oh God, can somebody
I missed
all this and tell me?
Well, I will say this because I do watch your show. Everybody, please subscribe to Amy's channel, Good Morning UFO, YouTube. I must say though, you do a great job breaking these things down, and you did a great job of sifting through a lot of that, and and so you do a good job. You're a hard worker, what you do, and I appreciate what you do. I'm so glad you're on the show today. And so keeping it more Bigfooty, as you said, I like that, Bigfooty. We've all heard these stories. I'm sure you have in your circles, Amy. There's a UFO. It's hovering above a tree line. It disappears. Then you see a bunch of orbs dancing about, right? Then all of a sudden, within minutes, here comes the Bigfoot sauntering out of the tree line. This is not just something that happens once a year, once a week. It's reports. I've gotten literally hundreds of reports on these same situations or experiences. That's not coincidence to me. And again,
that question because I actually just had that wrote down too.
Okay, well,
you beat me to it.
Well, I'll let you talk to Krista. You that's not me. You know who I am. So that's not coincidence. Krista don't believe in coincidence. I know, Amy, I probably guessing you're not either. This is important data, correct? And have you heard of anything as I just spoke on?
I think any sort of data and information that's triangulated is important. I think if you've got multiple people coming up to you saying, hey, I saw a Bigfoot at the same time that I saw a UFO, it should go in a section that makes sense. And I think as all those cases come into, they keep coming in, like you guys are saying, multiple people are reporting that quantifies, that puts a quantity, a number, a certain measurable amount of cases that you can say have been reported. That's legitimate. That is legitimate. Like in my opinion, that's one way that you can look at stuff, because like how are you, that's one of the best ways to figure out what's going on, which is totally what you see with the UFOs, what you see with Bigfoot, what you see with most phenomenon is people are saying, I saw this. Like there's not Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, and Good Morning UFO because we're not thinking something's going down. It's like an itch that we can't stop itching. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, I am open to anything. Like, I'm ready to see things that make me believe. And so if we got some information about Bigfoots and UFOs and these being connected, I don't see why not. Especially if you're trying to be an alien that's mixing things genetically and trying to have an understanding about different types of like types of humans that you create. It's not like too crazy to think that they're genetically engineering Bigfoot and dropping them off every once in a while as some sort of like kind of side project that they're doing. Right. You know, like we don't know what kind of projects they could be doing, because I in my own opinion, I think it's very possible that we've been designed intelligently in order to live on this specific planet Earth. And so I could see, you know, the aliens manipulating certain organisms like a Bigfoot or other humanoid like creatures so that they could have an idea as to how maybe they would react in different environments. I think this whole life goes on thing, I think aliens are out there trying to put life everywhere. You know, that's what we try to do here on planet Earth. That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack in that. And Chris, you can chime in whenever you want. I got one thing about Amy I'm going to ask. First of all, I think everything's connected. Everything in this universe is connected. I don't care. Scripted, UFOs, time travel. I can go on and on and on. It's all connected, I believe. I think a lot of these planes collide or parallel each other, as the word suggests. But this is kind of an out of the box, and you kind of brought up something that I didn't think anybody thought of except for me. And I have to qualify this, everybody. BMR believes in God. Okay, I believe in God. Okay, and I'm not going to go any further. Do you think though? Kind of a two-part question, that perhaps we're aliens from the future, or B, do you think that maybe we were created from another alien life form, and as you kind of alluded to, and we were transplanted here? And I also believe that all these cryptids, a lot of them are genetically enhanced. I mean, again, there's so many things to unpack.
Okay, so I do believe it's highly possible that the past, the present, and the future all exist in one time period. If I really did want to break it down, if I could have any understanding as to what happened and how we came onto this planet, I'd 100% think it comes down to this thing called bottleneck, the bottleneck era in evolution, where you have like one type of humanoid, right? And then there's like one certain era where tons of different species of hominoids suddenly appear, right? And through those, then we get Homo sapien taking over everything after a couple thousand, whatever. And so for me, that period that they found in fossil records of time periods where there's multiple different types of species of hominoids, I want to be as specific as I can, is rare, right? That's kind of like a rare thing. And I think that may have been when they came down to start genetically manipulating and things like that. For me, I look around, we're totally different than every other thing on this planet. Like, we're so weird compared to everything. And our brain has so much capacity, and our body uses so much food just to run our brains. And there's not any other animal on the planet that has brains like ours, heads that are so big that just like kind of wobble on our skulls and our skeleton structure. And so I think that's a huge component. Where did we get these giant brains from? Well, I mean, it's crazy to think that maybe we just got spliced with something. Because you know what? I don't know about you guys, but this is pretty great. This human experience where I can think and I can have conversations with you guys, and we can like explore things and like wonder where the universe is and what happens and try to like explore this together. Yeah, chimpanzees can't do that. So why were we given that? And it's because it's like, let's just go out there, man. Let's go to the next planet. I think they might be so extinct and gone, and whoever created us, whatever led us to be this intelligent, maybe they didn't create us, maybe they made us this intelligent, because it is not anywhere else on planet Earth that you see any other animal act this way. And that is something to stop and be like, why? And so I do think that we've been more than likely genetically manipulated by extraterrestrials. I think this kind of stuff is going on multiple planets, probably all the time, because I think life may be incredibly rare. Like, if we can get out there and look around, I think more than anything, we'll just find that life is so rare that all we want to do is like create more of it. I think, eventually what could be happening if they are millions of years, I don't think they have gender. I don't think they reproduce. I don't think they have like relationships the way that humans and other beings do. I think that kind of like evens out after time. And I think they look at humans as like these really playful, excited, like, 'cause we only live, like if we live to 100, that's like, wow. Right. So like, I feel like, if you're an alien, you could live to like 1,000 years. You're going to be way more like, hey, like not as like, you're not going to feel like the passion you felt for that G.I. Joe when you're a 1,000-year-old alien. But yeah, I definitely think that that's highly probable. Everything else on planet Earth is completely foreign to human beings, and the chimpanzee is the closest thing that comes close to us. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. There's got to be something out there and why? Like, and plus, this planet is so damn perfect. Excuse my French. This planet is so dang perfect. I've gotten so much better over the years over not cursing. I'm so good on streams now. You guys would be proud of me. I used to have such a sailor mouth, and I've gotten so much better. Thank God. I get so much trouble in the early years. But no, like this planet is lush. It's beautiful. It's fertile. There's water. There's so much going on here. It's like the perfect place to put humans. So it's either God. God, maybe. I mean, like I said, Bigfoot. I also believe in God. Jesus is in my heart. I've talked about it on the show quite a bit. And I don't think that has to be two contradictory things anymore in 2024, right? Like, we can look at this data, we can look at this information, we can take it in, and it's even more apparent, actually. It's even more important, I think, to talk about faith, as a lot of people are coming out. Like, there's a podcast that I just saw called Ministries Creationist Podcasts, and they were talking about how alien abductions are really just demon abductions, and that people have said in experiences, they said, halt, in the name of Jesus Christ, you may not abduct me, and like, it works. So, I mean, as this stuff starts to become more apparent, I think if that's your faith, yeah, like, you should throw it out there, like, talk about, because when Tucker Carlson is starting to talk about how he's getting ripped up apart by demons in his bed, I take notice, because that was my UFO go-to guy. That was the UFO mainstream media guy that I was like, all right, he's talking about a UFO 15, 20 years ago. And now he's getting attacked by demons. And like, it gets really, really creepy, weird, strange. But yeah, that was a rant. Thank you for letting me rant. I love it. I love ranting. Thank you.
Joe,
I got it out.
No. I told you backstage, rant on, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. At least you got your point across, and like what you said makes sense. Chris, I have something to ask you, but I know you got some things, so I don't want to hog. Why don't you go ahead?
I was going to say, well, I got a few things, but it's more on the UFO side. And I know right now we're talking about with the two of them together. So
yeah,
what do you believe about, I will ask one question because I do have this down. Like, Bigfoot, possibly an alien. What about like a dogman or any of these other cryptid creatures? Do you believe they're part of the UFO, or are they something totally different?
Well, you have, Skinwalker Ranch, tons of Skinwalker, and that's also based in a lot of the fact that the Skinwalkers were part of the like Native American culture. They'd experienced that had been in mythologies in that area. I think when you see, a dog man, or when you encounter these creatures, those definitely would be, I would think, in some level mystical, right? Because you kind of get that with the dog man a little bit. I don't know if I necessarily say it's connected to aliens, because I don't know. That's
Right.
kind of the thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
But like we're talking about genetic manipulation, genetic experimentation. Like if you want my perspective on it, I think all cryptids could probably be in a UFO being put out there, right? You got Mothman here, you got Dogman here. What's the Dogman
Right.
do? Let's put in this gene, see if that could work over on Jupiter when we drop some of them off, right? Like
Mhm.
I mean, if we're seeing cryptids all over and all this stuff is going down, yeah, like it's very,
Mhm.
very possible. If I'm going to speculate, but they, like, from my perspective, yeah, they are genetic manipulations that extraterrestrials are changing so that they can try to put life elsewhere, because I don't think it's as plentiful as we think while we're crowded on this planet with like 8 billion people. It's
Mhm.
not as plentiful out there as it is right here on this planet. So I think they're out there trying to get more life out there. And I think
Yeah.
maybe that's why they haven't conquered, killed us, all that stuff.
Right.
You
And
know, yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
oh, I was just going to say, BMR briefly mentioned like the orbs and things too. I personally have witnessed that a couple times in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's the middle of the woods. There's nobody else out there but my group, and But then right before that, my partner Brandy, she saw eye shine, and then we could round a campfire, we could hear these things circling us, but we couldn't see them. We'd shine a light and there was nothing there. So like that honestly changed my whole views, because I was a flesh and blood type girl. But now, it really makes me wonder, like, what the heck was that? We all heard this. There was something there. It wasn't a squirrel or a deer or anything like that. I know what I heard. It was heavy, it was, yeah. So I've really, I'm really on that realm that I believe like the Bigfoot and stuff are some sort of interdimensional type beings, just because of what my experience is.
Right. And that's kind of what Sue with the Ponte and the Bigfoot in the mountains talking about,
Mhm.
them telepathically communicating, being like kind of like a higher level being where they don't need clothes. They don't need all these things that us humans
Mhm.
have. They got nature. They
Mhm.
love nature. Nature loves them back. They have the intelligent capacity if they wanted to join us, but they don't want
Mhm.
to join us. They're doing their own thing. They are taking care of each other.
Right.
I don't think they like, so I don't know. I think those experiences are totally life changing and
Mhm.
transformative, like the one that you had,
Mhm.
because people constantly, and thank you so much for sharing that, because I think as people in this community know, like, nobody believes us.
Mhm. Right.
Anything. That's how I got here. I
Yeah.
mean, I was
Yeah.
like, I saw a UFO and it was like, yeah, right.
Yeah. My own
And
family rolls
even,
their eyes at me. So yeah,
yeah,
I get
no,
it.
mine too.
The
Mine
one
too.
thing that I
This is it.
stopped, the one thing I stopped doing was convincing family and friends
Me
about
too. I don't,
Bigfoot,
yeah.
UFOs, and everything else. Now, my mom and my father and my brother, we believe in UFOs. I did anyways, but they believe because we had a UFO encounter in our backyard when I was a little
Mhm.
kid, which actually my mom got me and my brother out of the bed. And oh my God, Davey, Robbie, come here. Mom, it's too early to get up for school. Get your ass out of bed. Okay. And right there, it was a UFO. It reminded me of, I usually call them flying saucers, right? UFO, yeah. But the flying saucer in the backyard as a little boy, because I always watched Lost in Space. And it reminded me of the actual Lost in Space flying
Mhm.
saucer. And it hovered in our yard, maybe 200, 300 feet up. Looked just like it. It had these lights on them spinning around, and boom, straight up into the air, gone. My mom gets on the phone, calls my dad, blah, blah, blah. Would you probably work with this UFO bullcrap? You're not supposed to pull me off the floor at work. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is like in the 70s, when you can't pull your dad off the floor when you work in the factory.
Right.
So he hung up on my mom. So he gets home from work, you guys, and they made the 5 o'clock news. I guess like hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of people called into the news networks stating about seeing something flying in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood, and it covered miles. And it made the news for, of course, it got the 30-second snippet. And of course, the newscasters shrugged it off and laughed. Go back to watch the Jetsons type thing back in the day when the Jetsons was popular. But I'm like, hey, whatever, F you to you reporters. I saw it with my own two eyes, and I know what I saw. It was not an airplane.
Right.
That's amazing that you had that experience. What city was this?
That was Dearborn Heights. Yeah, Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Dearborn Heights, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. That's not, I mean, it's not funny. I can relate to being laughed at because I called the news station after I saw my the triangular craft that blew my mind. Obviously, I was inclined enough to call the news station because I was like, well, if we're going to report it, at least that's an official report on some levels. I went on and I called them and they were like, oh, yeah, okay. And they literally hung up on me. Then I went to the National UFO Reporting Center online and I put in the case and somebody found it and they made fun of me and then put in a fake one right after me because I was telling people that I had seen this craft and then I thought it was real and then I put it and I reported it. But I mean, I want to, that's fascinating what you saw because so many other people saw it. Like that's very legitimate. I mean, when more people see it, that's huge.
But you know what sucks though? And I seen this, I swear my God, I seen it just as much as I saw my Bigfoot. I cannot find it anywhere. You know, I look it up, I type in, and it's like, where would I look to even find that? I mean, it's not online, and you can go back and find things online easily. That is not even in there. I even typed in the local WJBK news because I remember the news station. So a lot of these things, you know, I mean, I even hate to tell some of them because it's like, but I saw what I saw. My mom can tell you that. My brother, I mean, and it was like crazy. And I remember my mom got me and my brother out of the bedroom. Look what's on the news. They didn't show the craft, of course, but they reported sightings of a flying saucer in Dearborn Heights. You know, well, Detroit, but Dearborn Heights was my city. So, but yeah, but that's fascinating. But it reminds me too, Amy, if you remember the Michigan UFO sightings that was over Lake Michigan, 360 or so caught on radar.
Wow.
That disappeared into the bottom of Lake Erie. You remember Lake Michigan, I think, correct? If I'm wrong?
I mean, I would think so. There's so many UFO cases. I'm just going to go with you. You're in Michigan. That sounds correct to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on ChatGPT and pretend like I totally know what you're talking about. But no one's...
That's another amazing encounter.
I want to see this real quick. I'm looking at it. Was it in 2024? No.
The Michigan, the Chicago one?
Oh, the Chicago one's amazing, though, right?
Yeah, that was 1994, I think.
1994.
Or 2020 or 2001.
But yeah, I mean, I think all this stuff when people see things and they see, and when multiple people see it, like you did, that's like I'm willing to throw my UFO sighting in the trash compared to yours, because you have people that you can connect with and reach out with and say, did you see this? So just out of curiosity, like, what did the flying saucer look like?
It looked like the craft out of Lost in Space. It was. My mom explains it best. She says when she would explain it to her friends, you took a coffee tea plate and turned it upside down. And it was, I do remember, it was like a metallic color, and I want to say almost like a bronzy color. And you gotta remember, I was like 5 or 6 years old, and Lost in Space was my favorite show, and you know. But I seen the Lost in Space flying saucer as a kid, right? And to this day, as I go back in my memory, that's what I saw. Boom, straight up in the air, gone. My mom on the phone.
Are there any? Oh no, keep going.
No,
you're on the phone.
That's my mom calls my dad, and that night, man, it was on the news. Yeah,
man, that's amazing. And that kind of stuff is so important to share, right? Because as that stuff starts to come out, the more and more, like here we all are talking about it, right? And especially, so the other Dearborn Heights, is that correct? Dearborn Heights, Michigan? Because now I'm fascinated with your incident, and I want to know more about it. How close to a military Air Force base is it? Is it close to any Air Force bases in that area?
We have Selfridge Air Force Base, that's probably about 300 miles north of us, though.
That's still close enough.
Which is close for space for aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is like when I saw my sighting, I'm very close to a military base here in town,
Mm.
and
What
it was
state are you in?
going. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I live in
Okay.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I'm in the vicinity of Kirtland Air Force Base. Kirtland Air Force Base is the Air Force Base directly connected to Albuquerque.
And we
Wow.
also have the Fermi nuclear plant too off Lake Erie, which is not far either. If that was up during then, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, yeah, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, well,
It's
I know
real.
that. I mean, I know that.
I know you know that.
I'm as adamant about that as I am seeing the darn Bigfoot. Which
I do
somebody
have
else saw with me, but she's not here because, as you all know, my story. But yeah,
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
So people claim like these craft, some are triangles, some are cubes. What are the difference? Are they different like races of them, or what would that be?
I mean, I've heard people see all sorts of different crafts. I've heard, like
Right.
you're saying, diamonds. I've heard cubes. I've heard flying saucers. I've heard triangular craft. I guess for me, the one that really hits the most, the two, I don't know what species, or I haven't done any research into specifically what species thinks they are for specific types of craft.
Mhm.
But I do know for me, like the two very, very, very specific extraterrestrials that come up are the grays.
Mhm.
Then you have so you have the short grays, which are like people say are almost AI-esque, right? And then you have the taller grays, who they say may appear to have more telepathic emotional capabilities than the tinier robot-esque grays. And the two craft that I feel like I can say definitively what I do think more than likely grays are in, if you're looking to find a UFO, I think
Right.
it's either going to be a triangular craft or a flying saucer
Mhm.
with grays. I think that's the most
Gotcha.
likely of all possible. But I think if there's one of them, there's lots of them. And I
Mhm.
think if they are in these grays, it's just like it could just be a body that they're shipping out here, and they don't look anything like, they're more human. They're more, I don't know, bird-like. I was just talking this morning with people about blue avians, and it's not that I don't believe blue avians couldn't be an extraterrestrial race. I just don't believe that Corey Good saw blue avians, right?
Gotcha.
Which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Corey Good. He's a man who stole a lot of money, did a lot of things, messed around on Gaia a lot. I know a lot of people have really been burned by him financially, and he's tried to sue a lot of people by copywriting words like secret space program, all sorts of different stuff. But that's not to say that I'm not going to say blue avians aren't real. I don't know.
Mhm.
Other people say that they're having connections. I just don't think Corey Good is legit,
Mhm.
because he tried to copyright that. Like, how would you guys feel if I tried to copyright gray aliens?
Right. Everybody says that.
And then you guys used it, and I was like, copyright claim.
Oh God, the
Yeah.
infamous copyright claim.
You used my term gray aliens. I copyrighted it, Rob. You know better.
Yeah, BMR. That should be a trademark.
Yeah, you might as well.
You
You
know,
want Corey getting it to Corey could beat you to it. Corey Good could beat you
Oh
to it.
yeah. Yeah. Everybody wants me to put up bobbleheads. I just saw in the chat. Yeah, okay. I got to get my bandana done first.
Bobbleheads. Those are cool.
Yeah.
BMR bobblehead. That would be
that's kind of
great,
cool.
man.
But okay. So
Corey, not so good, says Donnie Cho. Sorry,
that,
just reading the
what
chat.
I know that's fine. Everyone
I
loves you. Please.
copyrighted the Church of Dogman. Sorry, your chat's making me laugh.
Yeah.
Chat's funny group of people.
Yeah, they're all cool. I love them.
They are. They sure are.
I do have to run this by you, but I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version because I've told this story before. I've done a video on it. I don't know I think this person might have been on the show, Krista, about the lady that was abducted by an alien, that she was used, inseminated on the craft.
I don't remember. I think so.
I don't know if you were on the show. It was but anyway, regardless, it's a long story. Amy, since we're talking about, we believe that perhaps other aliens are creating humans and putting them on the planet. let me run this by you. And it's a long story. I'm not going to tell the long story because, as I said backstage, it's about you. But I'm going to cut this down and just give you the details. Woman, years of nightmares from the age of 5 or 6 through her mid 30s. Thinks she's dreaming.
Oh, I think I do know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
She's on this craft. She assumes it's a craft. She cannot see out. But what she experiences is 4 bright white walls. She's on a gurney, a medical operational table. 4 grays, different sizes in height, I should say. One was at the end with this contraption. The tallest one, he's bending over and he is, doing some monkey business. Okay. Can't feel nothing, no pain, but she knows she's being assaulted, really. I don't know. This has been going on and she's having these nightmares and she lost her jobs, could not hold a job. Her two daughters said, Mom, you're crazy. You need help. You don't talk about this anymore. Her husband divorced her, right? Poor woman. I spoke with her on the phone too, you guys. Heart goes out to this lady. So, but she always was in a dream state. Then one night at the edge of her bed, not taken up into these walls, but has this tall alien gray, the one she's familiar with the little instrumentation, telecommunicates. You'll find out what we've been doing. You've been taken. Gets back on this craft during your dreams. She goes, you'll find out in your dreams. She's like, how am I going to dream? Alien just disappears. And sure enough, she fell asleep. Now, throughout all this time, got everybody listening, she had these 12 nodules that came out of nowhere throughout the years growing up on the back of her neck. Doctors don't know what they are. They take x-rays. It's not cancerous. It's benign. They don't know. They call them growths or nodes, whatever the term was. I forget. But had 12 of them. It was communicated to her, again, allegedly back on this craft, that they've been using her to create hybrid aliens, human hybrid aliens. And they said they were done with her. Again, like you're talking about Amy, so cold and callous, and they're not human beings. They don't care about love, procreation, and all this, right? Callous and cold. We're done with you. Those 12 nodes represent the 12 that we've taken from you, and they told her that one made it and is currently living on planet Earth, and you will meet her. Okay, so wow, great, crazy. She wakes up, months goes by. Thanks, Maggie. Months goes by. She's at a restaurant. She's by herself, sees this beautiful blonde-haired woman that resembled her daughters, who were beautiful and blonde as well. But she knows that this woman was just the best skin. She just looked almost, frankly, a little too good to be true. This woman gets up, and she's like across the way. This woman gets up, goes into the bathroom. So this woman, my person I've been talking with, follows her into the bathroom. The woman goes to the last stall, sits down, whatever, Nobody comes into the bathroom. Maybe a couple come in and out, I forget. But this woman's been in there for a little longer than she anticipated. And she goes back to the stall, looks under the stall, and there's nobody in there. Reluctantly opens the stall door. Boom, nobody in there. Goes back to her table in the restaurant. This woman, the place setting set, she's gone. Nobody knows if this woman was even there. She goes in the parking lot, looking around for this person. She goes, I bet that was a confirmation of that. Was that my hybrid child? She's thinking. But now she doesn't know. Didn't have a chance to talk to this hybrid. So, cutting the rest of the story out, I'm going to the end. Several months later goes by. She's paid a visit. In your dreams, we're going to introduce you to your daughter. Gets on this craft in this sterile room. Now, instead of being on the gurney, she's like sitting up in a chair and coming from a wall, coming from the corner of the room, walking at her very gracefully is the woman that she saw in the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
She communicates to this lady and says, I am your daughter. I'm your hybrid child. You'll never see me again. We thought you should know. Their work with you was done. And that's kind of where that story ends. I don't know what her future is moving forward. Now, Amy, have you heard such a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I've heard. Well, I know Melinda Leslie, who's she's in the documentary that I made. That's a conglomeration of all the different interviews I've ever done.
Oh, yeah. And by the way,
Mhm.
that's posted as well. All your stuff's posted in this, by the way.
Yes. Check out the documentary, guys. Hashtag UFO Twitter is down in the description. Check it out. If you don't know what I'm about, go check it out. But Melinda Leslie was in it, and Melinda Leslie is an alien hybrid mother. And she says she's the mother of 8 different alien hybrid children. So they took her eggs and they mixed it with sperm and created alien hybrid children. She has multiple memories of being brought aboard a craft, seeing her alien hybrid children, looking them in the eyes and seeing the same facial features that she does, seeing that she sees this child looks like her. And so her experience is just really interesting, especially as I've gotten to know her. And she talks about one time where she was called by the aliens to go and help one of her alien hybrid children. So she was brought aboard the craft. They brought her to the child. The child did not look like it felt very good. And they asked her to comfort the child, which she did. And I don't know. And then they took her away. But it is a very, very traumatic experience. It's never anything I've ever heard being like, this is great. Like, these mothers of alien hybrid children they wish they could be there. And even though sometimes I know Melinda talks about it being like she won't get into the trauma of it, right? I think a lot of people, that's really hard. Because it's traumatic. Like, doesn't matter how you look at it, it's traumatic. Whether it was, however experienced it was probably traumatic. But more than anything, Melinda talks about how she feels like she is connected to the hybridization program, right? Which is what it is. It's the hybridization program that the extraterrestrials are doing, the genetic manipulation, just like we were talking at the beginning, like the genesis of man, and how could that have happened? Well, genetic manipulation. And to think that, okay, well, if they did a long time ago, what's to stop me to think that they're not doing it now? So, it's especially to hear that lady's marriage ended and her life was torn apart by this. It's really sad. It's really sad, right? And it's like almost like all 3 of us know it's almost impossible to find that kind of support. And people think it's all just a bunch of BS and that you're making up things and you're just crazy and you're a attention seeker or whatever it is they want to kind of label on it. When, then what happens? We all go start podcasts. We start talking to other people who are seeing things. We get closer to the truth, because it's easy to go with what everybody's telling us to think. It's much harder to be like, what do I think? What do I think? Now, when everybody else is telling me, I understand there's smart people, and if I think somebody's really smart, I usually like, okay, I'll go that way. I'll go, where's Adam going? He's smart. I'll go that direction. I do have the lemming mentality. I do, right? But sometimes on these bigger questions and these bigger thoughts, like we're getting into, like, what do we think, right? And sometimes that the power of that voice, anyway, it could really be transformative for everyone. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's real. I think they're hybridizing them. The mothers, I've met multiple, but yes, real, 100%, in my own personal opinion.
Right. What did she happen to say about like her children, that hybrid children? I know where you said that before, like that they don't like love and things like that, but did she get any sense of that from them or anything like that?
No. Her perspective's totally different. I speculate that if you live 1,000 years old, you're not going to feel very excited the way that we do, right? In our young age, right? But she had like an emotional, spiritual connection to these children. And these children were innocent. And they looked
Wow.
humanoid. They looked like humans with a little bit bigger eyes, you know, like maybe thinner hair. Like the way she describes it is definitely like a humanoid. And it was a loving connection. It was a
Wow.
loving connection. It was, and maybe she would say that sometimes, maybe some of the reason they might be interbreeding with humans is because we are that lively, energetic thing. So,
Right.
like her hybrid had more of that humanness in it because that hybrid child is half human. So
Right.
it's going to be more lively, right? Not the way that these aliens are, where it appears they just don't even have any emotional intelligence.
Right.
Zero. Right? Yeah.
And, you know, like you said, maybe then that is why that they're breeding, you know, because to get some of that, if they don't have, you know, what our emotions, you know, I mean, because like, you know, being happy or feeling love, that's all, you know, those are all good, you know.
Yeah. And I think
Sorry,
that's
Amy, I had
kinda,
to take care of something.
oh no, dude, I get you. It's busy. I run these shows. It's hard. You know, tech, people, things, noises, dogs barking, whatever. You never know what's going to happen.
You
It's always a
never-
wild ride.
That's right. It's always. It's just why I love lives.
I do too.
And before I forget, really quickly, I know that we also have some questions for you lined up, Amy, as well. What a great turnout! Thanks to everybody for coming in. 75 in the chat, pretty darn good, and 319 watching around the world. Wow, 319. You're as important as the people in the chat room. Love the people in the chat room, and I love all the viewers that are watch later, watch the replay. Without you, you guys are the driving force behind the shows. Everybody, the chat people, to the people that are watching this. Thanks to Keith for the super chat. T-Boat for gifting the 5 Bigfoot Mission Rob memberships. Texas Front Porch. Diane Boss. Scott's Life. Sinfully Wicked. Dorothy Hawkins. Maggie. Jojo. Love you guys. Thanks for the support. Donations. Hey, they're appreciated, not expected, especially now with Thanksgiving coming up. You all got your turkeys, I suppose. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Very appreciative of you all. And I'm also appreciative of Amy for coming on. It's been a while, but trying to get her on. I really
I'm on.
appreciate
I love
you
it.
coming on.
I'm just having fun. I appreciate you letting me come on. I appreciate just everything you guys do for the community. We got to keep going. The most dangerous thing we have is our voices, so we just got to keep talking because we might be like, you know, the outcasts in the world when we go walk around, but when we get into our YouTube world and we start looking for truth, it's really important. So thanks for coming out and just being willing to be vulnerable in public with these topics.
You know, and we are, and that's the whole reason why we do this, because I started my show because something happened to me. I never probably would have. I don't know. But I think what happened to me was a reason. I think I do the podcasting for a reason, because I know the truth is out there. I've experienced the truth, and I don't talk on facts. I can only talk on what I've personally experienced with the Bigfoot, seeing the craft, all the paranormal accounts that I've had in my life. I owned a haunted bar, for God's sakes. I've seen it all. And it's time for me to come forward, you know, with this. And much like you, I appreciate what you do, Amy, because you provide such great information as well. I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Just love our community, man. I love our community.
It's all about community.
It really is. It really is just supporting each other in our big podcast, and everybody's working together to try to get the truth. And it's our little tiny communities like this and bigger community. I just love it. I'm just so thankful. So thankful you invited me on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So let me ask you, throughout your lifetime, it can be anything. It doesn't ghost. It could be anything. Have you come across anything that you found to be odd in your life? You know, that you think, wow, was this really happening? Am I really experiencing this?
Yes.
Good.
The most paranormal, and it's not UFO related, which is quite interesting. The most paranormal experience I had is I was 12 years old, hanging out in my bed, and I saw a white, bright, flashing light above my head.
Wow.
And it flashed for and it was really fast. It was like, phew, it was like, phew, and it was really bright, and it scared me, and I was shaken, and I ran out to my parents and told them what I had seen. They were like, oh, you know, probably wasn't anything. But then my sister had a dream that night. She the next morning she like explained it to a T what I had seen. And so, yeah, I do think I saw an orb as a child. Yeah. And so that was pretty strange. And then the other thing that I found very strange that would happen is when I was younger, I went to summer camp. And when I went to summer camp, I got to know some of the other girls in the cabin, right? And after I got to know the girls in the cabin, I could describe their houses all the way to kind of like what kind of flower was on the wallpaper in their houses. And it's because I could see where they lived once I got to know them, even though I never physically been to their house because we were at summer camp. So that was weird. And then I saw the triangular craft in 2013 that kind of derailed everything. For me, I never felt so misunderstood. Even if I had misidentified something, just the sheer trying to go around to find people to relate wasn't there. And I was extremely surprised after my UFO incident how many people were even afraid to say the word alien in 2013. Right. How many people were even felt okay to be like, there could be something else. Like, that's long gone. Most people, you know, I'm not going to say it, but like most people believe that there's aliens somewhere. You know, Elon says no, but I don't put everything on. I don't trust Elon on everything. Thank you for free speech on Twitter. We appreciate that, right?
Right.
But you know, like I think he's wrong there. But so yeah, I was seeing the orb as a child, and I'm gonna relate this because this is where things get confusing for me as somebody who tries not to be. I mean, I love woo and I love esoteric stuff, but I saw this little light, and then actually like a year later, my grandma Beulah died. And it was just really fascinating. And then so fast forward, here's the next one. We're talking about psychic energies. And this is some of the stuff I can't shake off. This night freaked me out, okay? So my family were Catholic. I grew up Catholic. I don't really practice Catholicism anymore, but Jesus is in my heart. I'm Christian. You know, please get me to the other side. If I don't know what's going on over there, please, I tried. Right. But so we went to Lourdes, France, which we know when I was in Catholic school, we were told that you go to Lourdes, France, you get the water on you, you are healed. You are healed when you go to Lourdes, France. Sister Carmen in first grade told me that, you know, everybody who goes to Lourdes, when the holy water is put on them in Lourdes, France, they are cured. So we go to Lourdes for me and my mom. We go to Lourdes, France to check it out. And it's amazing. Like there's Virgin Marys, like all the Virgin Mary merch you could ever want is in this like, I mean, you know, if you want to go Jesus crazy, which you can, I'm gonna get Our Lady right here. I'm just like, I'm not kidding. I'm getting Our Lady Guadalupe tattooed on my shoulder. That's a whole other thing. But that night at the hotel, when we were in the square around all this Virgin Mary merch, and we were, you know, in where Saint Teresa had been, right? Because that's what happened in Lourdes, was the miracle, I think, of Teresa. I just noticed all the people in like wheelchairs that were coming. Like there were tons of people who were coming that you could see they were seeking healing here. Just like I was told as a child. Like Sister Carmen in first grade told me this is where you go to heal. And so I was just like, people in wheelchairs. I just like, and I don't even know, like this is in the back of my head. Then we go to the hotel that night and I can't sleep at all. I felt like I was in a room with 25 people that night in the hotel room. In that one hotel room, I felt like I had a room of 25 people looking at me. And there were children there. There were older people there. And I was at this hotel, and it just felt like there was this intense group of people in the room with me. And that would make sense if like this is a spiritual place. This is, you know, it's my Mecca, right? Like people, you know, people have different spiritual quests. This was obviously a spiritual quest for me and my mother. And I do think that those were the spirits of people who were going to Lourdes to be healed.
Wow.
I do think those were spirits of people who were trying to communicate with me because in that moment, I think I was psychically inclined. And I think if I had not been so scared, I was very scared. I was like 21 at the time. I think if I had not been so scared, I could have understood a little bit better, but it terrified me. I couldn't sleep all night. I should probably just go back to that hotel in France eventually one day, but
Same room.
that was the thing I don't think I'll ever be able to shake. I do think there were a lot of people, souls in the room with me, and I didn't sleep at all that night because I felt them.
Right.
I don't even know what to do with that, right? Like, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know. But that's probably the weirdest thing I've experienced.
That's pretty weird. That's a good one.
If I'd been less scared, I would have asked some questions and stuff. But
right.
Now I'm less scared because I'm right into it. If it happened now, I could at least be like, it's okay. Like, this is a spiritual thing. Like, try to interact with it. Like, go through it. Does it feel good? Like, don't be scared. Like, you're just psychically open. But we're not trained that way in this society. We're you're putting fluoride in the water, telling the society that's helping kids with their fluoride to help their teeth, right? But at the same token, this fluoride is also, it's clogging our pineal gland, which is affecting our telepathic communication, right? So they don't want us to have the fifth dimensional brain open anyway. And so, and also you're struggling with my mental health, right? I'm sitting here either I'm crazy or there's 25 ghosts in this room. And I'm gonna default to the fact that I'm crazy.
Right.
But you grow into yourself more and you have more confidence in yourself. And I look back at that now, so many more years later. And that was definitive. There were people there. It's just the weirdest thing. I don't know how to explain it.
I get what you're saying. And, had you been a little older and known a little bit more, you totally could have taken control of that situation.
Yeah. And I think,
young and getting scared. Yeah. I mean, of course you would be.
And, it's just about opening it up and trying to be opening to things more psychically. And I try to. But I'll never forget that. And it's weird because sometimes I go through phases in my life where I don't believe in an afterlife. But then I think of that experience and they had something they wanted to tell me. And I was just too scared. I didn't want to hear it. I was so freaked out. There were so many of them there, all trying to say something to me. And I didn't want to hear anything they had to say.
Right. Was that the first time you had a psychic type experience, or can you remember anything else that wasn't just as
that's the most definitive one that I feel like I can say like I can be in my logical mind here and be like, okay, I was sane then. What was going on that night? Why did I feel that way? And since then, no, not so much. The connecting with the dead is just a whole weird thing in general, right? It's just kind of I just like to think that people are with us and their light grows inside of us. But sometimes if that light is has been hurt, or if that light didn't get the proper process it needed to grow expansively, that stays places energetically. I think that's what was happening in that hotel room. Those beings or whatever the heck was there, I feel like they hadn't filled the full process. Right. There was a process, and that's why there were so many there.
Yeah.
That's why there were so many. They were trying to do the process. Somehow I was a key, not saying I'm special or anything, but it was weird. It was weird. And I still try to keep that wall up for the most part. Like, I don't want to be talking to the dead. No, thank you. I got enough things going on. Like,
Right.
I mean, but then you're like, well, maybe it's a gift. Maybe I should try hard. I'm pretty open to it, you know, but I haven't seen anything since then.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't force them to come out. It was just that
Right.
night in Lourdes, France.
That's awesome. I mean, well, great experience. I mean, in retrospect, I get it, but yeah, we've all I think a lot of people have come across all things that they, just can't explain, talking to the dead. I know that my father follows me around once in a while, I got to ask, because again, had some weird things happen to me with all these things. And do you think, Amy, we can manifest certain things? I remember reading, I think it's Stephen Greer, I guess, manifest a UFO visit encounter. Do you believe in that theory?
Like the CE5? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
that's what that is. Yes.
That's kind of how my whole thing started. Is I was on the CE5 like mailing list. So when Stephen Greer would do his global initiatives, like I'd go out and meditate. That's actually sort of kind of how the channel started. Because I was outside and CE5 and global. And oh wait 1 second. And then I was out there meditating and I saw something, and it's on my channel, so you can go check it out. I took a photo of it, and I didn't have a channel, and I was like, look, and I was having a conversation with it, and the conversation kind of went something like, if you let me take a picture, I'll put it on the internet. That's kind of the conversation I was having, and I was able to get the photograph, and you can look at it. I put it in members only just before this, but I'll change it. It's just in the video section of my channel. If you guys want to check it, I'll put it back up. But sometimes I take it down because it can be such a woo-woo road, and I have been ridiculed a lot, and I have been, so it's hard to share. Just like you were saying, Krista, when you had that experience, it's hard to be like, I told the aliens, let me take a photo of them, and they let me, right?
They even said
Like
cheese,
yeah, I have a photo, right? And I look at it and I'm like, okay, so I was like, well, I'll put it on the internet, right? Why not?
Yeah.
And so that happened, and then I did the Stephen Greer CE5 meditation app, and I did the Stephen Greer app meditation, and I had this crazy, trippy meditation where I met an extraterrestrial lady by the name of Sita, and she told me that I was there for a meeting. She lived on an abandoned planet. She showed me the desert landscape. She said, I'm the only one who lives here. And I said, that must get lonely. She's like, no, not at all. I have meeting after meeting after meeting. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I don't have too much time, but let's have a conversation. And I was like, okay, like let's have this meditation, right? And she just shows me. I was like, well, why am I here? Why have I been brought here? And she gave me a hug, and she said, you just need to go back and show them love. Like, you got to go now. I have another meeting. And so she had other entities lined up to talk to after me, and then bam, I was back. So I astral projected, like whatever you want to say with that, right? But these are experiences that the more I get into it, I'm like, that was really weird. That was way before the show, way before the CE5 where I took the photo. All this stuff was like way before. So sometimes when I think I'm talking to people and they're like, I'm talking to aliens, and I don't dismiss it, because everybody gets some things right, everybody gets some things wrong. You can't expect these people who are saying they're talking to aliens to be getting it all right. But I do think they're all tapping in to one same thing. And maybe that is the whole oncoming of first official contact. Like, like you're talking about, you're like, well, do you think like a Bigfoot and a UFO, if people are reporting it, is that a big deal? Yeah, when a bunch of people are. If 1 out of every 10 people is telling us that they're talking to aliens, like that's something to talk about. Right? Like, but that's not where we're at in society. But if it was, if 10% of the population, if they were surveyed saying that they were having telepathic communications with extraterrestrials, that would be something notable.
Yeah. I gotcha.
I'm only going to bring this up because you mentioned the word astral projection. and I only bring this up, and Krista knows where I'm going with this, is when I resonate with somebody, guess, I'm like, oh my God, they just brought this up. So now I have to tell you this. And this is, I tell you what, Krista knows I've had many accounts with spirits and ghosts outside of the Bigfoot and that and whatnot. But for me personally, what happened to me is the most creepiest thing that I do not want to ever happen to me again. I was reading books and I literally, Amy, was trying to figure out how to astral project myself. And I got this meditation. I was sitting watching this on YouTube, or we find everything on YouTube. This meditation, I'm concentrating, doing. So weeks went by, nothing. I said, yeah, whatever. I tried it again one night. I'm sitting in this chair, and all of a sudden, I don't know if I was in a deep sleep. I don't know what was going on, but I'm in this chair, and I get out of this chair, Amy, and I start to crawl down like a hallway in my house. I'm on all fours, and then for whatever the reason, Amy, I look over to the chair where I was sitting and saw my physical body. Yet I'm on the floor and I see myself in the chair. And I must tell you, I snapped out of it. I just shook my head, whatever. I snapped out of it. Now I'm back in the chair with the meditation running on YouTube. In fact, the meditation on YouTube was done playing. So I don't even know how long I was in this state. And I know the meditation was like, you know how a lot of these meditations are 3, 4, 5 hours. They run all night long. Some of them. And I got to tell you, that's the freakiest experience I've ever had. Nothing to do with death, nothing to do with the dead, nothing to do with Bigfoot, cryptids, UFOs. But I was somewhere. I went somewhere. Several people have suggested I was at the brink of astral projecting. They certainly said I had an out-of-body experience of some sort. I'd like to investigate that. But of all the things I've experienced, Amy, that has frightened me the most, because who the hell knows where I went, or where, more importantly, where I could have ended up.
Right, which is why, like, when you think about near-death experiences, I got really into near-death experiences for quite a bit, because I was like, let's try a different topic, right, for the show or whatever.
Right.
I was like, oh, check it out.
Yeah.
And I was baffled by the amount of people who, when they died, they had an out-of-a-body experience just like yours. I know you didn't have a near-death experience, but like that's similar, right? They're floating above, they're looking at their own body.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. The other one that I was surprised came up is how many people would like call upon Jesus Christ to help them get out of the darkness. Like that Jesus can't, I mean, obviously Western culture, obviously I speak English, obviously that's the kind of stuff that I can access because I'm an English Westerner, right? So obviously I'm going to be getting a perspective of whatever happens in your brain towards the end of your death. Okay, most English Westerners, yeah, it's going to have a Christian perspective, maybe not, right? But it could very well be. And so like I was just flabbergasted by that, because I mean, I really want to think it's just lights out. So much easier. Just like, again, like I see me dying and being like, what is going on here, right? I'm gonna call upon whatever. But yeah,
I mean, okay, that's so. I don't know if we talk. I don't know. I might even talk with Krista. I often think about that. It's like, okay, do you know when you go in that deep sleep, where it's so you don't even know you're sleeping? I mean, it's one of the we none of us, I know, rarely get them, right? Where you just fall asleep. It's so peaceful and relaxing. You don't dream. You don't feel anything. It's just darkness. You don't even know you're in darkness of sleep. Then you just wake up, and it's like, is that what death is? I mean, you won't even. I didn't even know I slept. I woke up. It's 8 hours later, and here I am. Hi, go making breakfast, but don't recall anything. Then, of course, there's the side of I'm Catholic myself. I don't practice like you either. Blah blah blah. We all know. We can all debate that. Krista is. So. And then there's the other side, the light versus the darkness. The light, you see the light or you see the darkness. I just don't know. We're not going to know, and I don't think there's a person in the world that wonders.
Right.
And the closer I get to 60, I'm half dead already. I'm more than half dead.
No.
No, I'm just saying. It's just more.
You might live to 120. Who knows?
No, well,
Nobody
I ain't
knows.
60 yet. I'm saying I'm getting close. A few more
There you
years.
go. There you go. There you go.
I'm still in my 50s, but 60 is, it'll be here one day. Just
Good,
like
good.
it's just like, how it took forever to get from first grade to high school and out of college, or let's just say from first grade to high school.
Mhm.
It took an entirety. It was infinity, and I graduated high school. It took forever. Yay. Then I'm 20. Then I'm 30. Still pretty slow.
Right.
Then I hit 40. And now 50 just boom showed up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Why?
It goes fast.
Why does time go faster? It
Yeah.
should be the opposite.
It
But
should,
anyway,
but it
but that's
doesn't.
another story. It's another topic for another day.
It's a big topic too.
Oh gosh, it is. You could
Life
do
goes
part
fast,
one.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, we could
I
really,
mean,
yeah.
I one thing I'd like to get into one day, not today, of course, Amy, is that time travel. That would be so cool if you can go back in time. Or I don't know if I'd want to, but I'd like to experience that, and that's always a fascinating topic. And I think I'll ask a lot too. I asked you earlier. You think we're aliens from the future? Don't know. Possibly.
I think we could be. I think we could be. I think it makes a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense. My Dr. Michael Masters, he's the one who thinks that that the Greys are aliens from the future coming back to try to intervene with us. And maybe they are. I mean, the Mandela effect, when you see all the little things with the Mandela effect, the dimensional changes, even I mean, I'm not trying to get political here, guys, but there's some weird things with we're gonna get paranormal. We're not getting political. Paranormal, not political. Just saying. Paranormal.
Politics.
Nikola Tesla
Mm-hmm.
had all of his chests and all of his research. You might already know this, guys, but I'm just going to say for people in the chat who don't know, he had all his chests. He died in a hotel. He died poor. Nikola Tesla died poor basically in the street, in a hotel, wherever, Yeah. He died around there. He didn't have a house, he was trying to survive. So he had a hotel. So he was staying somewhere, right? We're going to say that, right? That's true.
Yeah.
He was paying hotel rates, right? I mean, it was, so he had his research there in like, I think it's 7, I don't remember what, in a couple amount of chests. And when he died, the government came in and took the chests, but 3 chests were missing. Who owned the hotel? Donald Trump's grandfather.
Wow.
Time travel makes sense. Yeah, that creeped everybody out.
Yeah.
That's hard when you shake off.
I like that, Amy. I like you gotta invest. I never heard that. I did not hear that
I
one.
haven't either.
I think it's Fred Trump. Let me make sure I get that data right, but it's true. It's creepy, right?
That is.
My chat keeps freezing up on my phone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've had to X out. It's like the 10th time I've had to X out and come back in. Crazy. Might be the powers that be, huh?
Could be the powers that be. Amy, I could keep you all night and all day into the morning. But, we all have work. We have things to do. I want to thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell everybody? Now, by the way, I mean, I've seen a lot of people have subscribed to you already. Your stuff.
I got the 3.2, guys. Thanks. I got to 3,200. I broke a digit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I love when you turn those century numbers over. 100, 200, 300. It's so cool.
So good. 3.2K. Thanks, guys.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank
Congratulations.
you. But all of Amy's links are in this show description. So check her out. She's fascinating. She really is. She's one of the hardest working people out there. She knows her stuff. Plus, the show is entertaining. It's not boring. She's kind of like the show. Sometimes she goes a little other directions, but I personally like that. It brings, it brings the personality which you have to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's awesome.
Most people just think I rant for no reason and it doesn't make sense and it's all twisted nonsense, which it kind of is. But I try to have a topic for every show and then we jump around just like we did today.
Yep.
Well, jumping around I find to be the best because I don't like to talk about the same thing all day long, all night long. But the reason you can do these topics, like we said, they're all connected. So one subject is not that much different than the other subject. Really, it's not. It's really not. And we'll cut you loose here in a moment. I just want really quickly. Once again, I always thank everybody for coming on in. You know what? Well, I don't know if we can get to them. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of it. I'm sorry. I apologize if we don't get some questions for Amy. Thank you, Keith, T-Bone, Tex, Diane, Scott, Symphony, Dorothy, Jojo, Maggie, for your contributions. Appreciated. And so what's next for you, Amy?
Yes, next for me is tomorrow morning I'm premiering an interview with Jordan Sather. He was kind of like a victim to Corey Good. There was a recent documentary called The Cosmic Con, about Corey Good and his work with Gaia. And Jordan Sather, talks about how some of his money was taken by Corey Good. So I have that premiering tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you want to join us if you want to watch Good Morning UFO with me, your host, Amy, it's Monday, not here, but, on my show, I'm my own host. This is Bigfoot, Rob, and Krista are the hosts here. But on my show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrials, free speech, government transparency, and just trying to get that technology out to the people.
So you're on tomorrow morning, right?
Not live, just a pre-recorded interview. Yeah, but come check it out, guys. The whole family will be there.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
The regulars will be there.
So with us, absolutely. So for us, I'm off Thursday. I don't do Turkey Day. Chris is off Turkey Day. Thank you, Mark. Man, that's awesome. You're off Turkey Day, but are you back on Friday with Brandy, or are you taking Friday off as well?
Nope, we'll be back Friday.
Okay, and then I'll be back with you, Brandy, and Monica on Saturday night.
Yep.
Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody. A lot of people love you out here. I'm glad we helped out a little bit, Amy, with the channel. I mean, but it's more than that. You're full of information, and you're just a great person. I'm glad we find an opportunity to meet digitally.
Yeah,
I do want to ask you though, New Mexico, you got the Four Corners?
I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, Albuquerque. Gotcha.
I'm a city Albuquerque girl. In the city. You're in the city.
You're in the city. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This was a fantastic show. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Krista.
Yes, thank you.
And I got so many things to scroll through to hit the exit button. There it is. There's the exit button. Thanks, everyone, for coming on in. Like on your way out. Share, subscribe to Amy, the Blondes and the Booze, BMR, Texas Front Porch, Our Paranormal World with Monica Rollins, Donnie Show Says Stuff, and Paranormal Paul. Got them all. Love you guys. Have a great Thanksgiving. You won't see me until Saturday at midnight.
Yep.
Ooh.
We're out.
See y'all.
Are you ready?